So, dear members of the Swiss Zoo, dear ladies and gentlemen, I'm very pleased to launch today the first edition of the Swiss Zoo Millennials Awards at the École Hôtelière de Lausanne. What a fantastic place for the future talents and leaders of tomorrow, a place of excellence in knowledge, and of course transmission, where hospitality is in the heart of the values. The concept of the awards is to highlight a selection of the Swiss Zoo Millennials members addressing current issues of the under 40. The program includes following topics that will be discussed: impact investing, limit CO2 emission and food waste, education and gender equality, luxury and transmission, sustainable development and climate transition, and last but not least, personal fulfillment. To stimulate the interest of the debates, we are pleased to propose 6 pitch battles between millennials and some compared to senior profiles. 2 awards will be presented tonight: the jury award, composed by our committees and sponsors. You could see the slides, and the public award. So get ready and flash the QR code to ask your question and vote. This debate will be moderated by a wonderful woman, Mrs. Séverine Pain, globetrotter, entrepreneur, coach in management, and mother of 4 children. Before leaving the stage to Mrs. Carole Ackermann, President of Trustees of EHL Foundation, I would like to thank you, the millennials present this evening, for their coming performances, and to our partners, without whom this event couldn't take place. So a special thanks to Jacques Edreau, to Nestlé Waters, to Alpian, to the Fondation Saint-Exupéry pour la Jeunesse, and of course, to EHL. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mrs. Carole Ackermann.
Thank you, Olivier. Well, distinguished guests, dear millennials and friends of EHL, dear students, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor and a pleasure to welcome you here tonight at EHL. After such a long time of virtual events, finally, we have again the possibility to come together, to mingle and to have a close exchange of views. And it's really wonderful to see so many familiar faces, but also some new ones. And it's also great to have an interesting audience who follow us on the live stream. So we are celebrating tonight the Millennials Award, an award for Generation Y and Z. And after consulting this morning the mirror, definitely a generation after me. And these truly exceptional people. In a few minutes, you will meet and see and have the opportunity to meet these extraordinary people on stage, and we will be able to honor and celebrate their achievements. But when I was preparing, I was thinking about what does exceptional in today's world mean? Paulo Coelho, a famous businessman and author of several books, recently explained that outstanding leaders nowadays need the 5 C. Somebody who takes care about others and themselves. That means you have to be able to balance the energy level, and you have to be able to know how to use brakes. And I start with this. Somebody who has a cause, a kind of inner motivation, a passion, or a guiding star. Somebody who has the courage to speak, to stand up, to decide, and to take action. Somebody who's creative. somebody who is collaborating, and these are the 5 Cs. We are here at EHL, and it's the world leading hospitality school, where for the last 130 years, many hard facts have been taught, such as best practices, lean processes, financial accounting, supply chain management, quality management, and so on. But these disciplines were always accompanied by the so-called soft factors. Soft factors of human interaction, such as human centricity and people management. And this because we are truly convinced that only if we understand our guests, our customers, our clients, our students, our colleagues, and our peers, cognitively and emotionally, we can make a difference. Do you remember Hillary Clinton? She was probably more qualified than Donald Trump. But we all know she didn't win the elections. Not because she was less intelligent or competent, but her communication did not reach people, and she has not been seen authentic. On the contrary, we have the Ukrainian President Zelensky, politically inexperienced, but whose speeches were filled of caring words for the Ukrainian people, who has a clear mission, undoubtedly addresses his expectations and hopes, and collaborates close with the liberal world and shows emotional intelligence and fighting also on behalf of all our values. But back to you, dear Millennials and dear Generation Z. You don't need such extraordinary situations to show that you are really exceptional. You can prove it each and every day. Just reflect on what strengths you want to develop. Where do you want to become best? Where are you drawn? So recognize what fulfills you, what you have talent and desire for, and what you develop a passion for. We all have moments now and then where everything fits together. Feelings of happiness despite the greatest effort, and lightness even with a lot of resistance. Moments where feel and will are united, or head, heart, and hand all in harmony. And these are the moments of the flow state. Do you remember when you had your last moment of flow? I'm not going to let you wait for a minute, but wouldn't it be the number of these moments that measure in a good way if you are on the right path, if you are on the right career path to become really exceptional? If you regularly take the time and sit back and think about your last status of flow, and whether you are still on the right path, whether you are playing on the right stages, or whether you need a new direction, you might know whether the way you go is correct or not. And today, more than ever, we have the opportunity to shape our lives to the greatest possible. We only have to take the responsibility for it. Or if you remember, as Seneca said, the quality of our life depends largely on the quality of our thoughts. And sure, we should not forget the old virtues, no pain, no gain, and where we develop a passion, our profession becomes a vocation. So, dear Millennials and dear Generation Z, the world is open to you. And I'm convinced with the knowledge and the experience you gained so far, you have created enough good humus for your next steps and becoming a truly exceptional person. So let us be bold and let us be vulnerable and let us fill our hearts with passion and compassion. And let us all try to become really exceptional leaders. It's easier than you might think.
Thank you so much, Carol, for your vision. Now it's time for the pitch battle. A very warm welcome to Séverine.
Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Very happy to be with you today. Welcome to you who are here with us at EHL, and also to the ones who are with us remotely on the streaming. So very actually happy to be able to dive around 6 meaningful topics tonight with extremely committed people, either millennials or, of course, more experienced leader. And we will have the chance actually to be with them and to, I would say, accompany them in their journey in these meaningful topics. Before we start the battles, just wanted to remind you a few rules and with what kind of rules we're going to play together tonight. So tonight, as Olivier was saying, we're going to have 6 topics, okay? A topic around like impact investing, another one around like sustainable development and climate transition. Third, around like limiting CO2 emission and food waste. A fourth one around like access to education and gender equality. Fifth one, around luxury and transmission, and a final one, last but not least, around like personal fulfillment. The way it's going to happen will be twofold. So for each topic, you have one battle. Each battle will be animated by one pitcher, a millennial, accompanied actually by her or his partner, coming usually a more experienced leader coming from various size of companies, even very big ones. The idea is, first we give the floor to the millennials, during which they will expose for 5 minutes their voice around the subject. Second moment, another 5 minutes, during which the millennial and her or his partner will challenge a little bit themselves, will discuss, will go further on the subject together. During these 2 times, you're extremely welcome to raise your questions, okay, to them, to one of them, or to both of them, using the QR code that you have on your table, or for the one who are with us remotely, with the QR code actually on the screen, okay? So please raise any questions you might have to them, which will allow us to go to the third moment together, which is like the questions moment. And I will raise your question and address your questions to each team, okay? So now I think we are ready to go, and I'm very honored to start the first battle about impact investing. Just to remind you the definition of impact investing. It's an investment strategy, right, that seeks to achieve social or environmental goals, as well as generate profit. So I'm very honored tonight to welcome for this first battle, Mr. Alan Krief and Mrs. Marion Fogli. Please join us on stage. Thank you. Round of applause. Okay, I'm too quick. I'm sorry. Just a few words about each of them. I'm sorry, I won't be very respectful, but I will start each time with the millennials. So it's going to be Alan tonight. So Alan is entrepreneur, so our pitcher tonight, entrepreneur, a co-founder of mystore.ch. He's a 37-year-old, and after joining and developing his family company, he created mystore.ch, specialized in flash sales, which is sold to dinedeal.ch. And he will partner tonight with Marion Fogli, who is managing director of Alpian. And Marion is actually an alumni of EHL. Yes, and she's now highly recognized actually as a high client obsessed woman, I would say, and specialized also in digital transformation. And she's representing the first Swiss private bank, fully digital, actually, in Switzerland, and which is deeply rooted also in, thanks to its Astoria connection to impact investing. So now, Alan, the floor is yours. You have 5 minutes for you.
Thank you, Severin. Hi, thank you to Swiss Who for having made this great event tonight. I'm sure we are going to hear a lot of very interesting topic. I want to say a few words about what I consider important in terms of positive impact. We have done this last year at Daindeal.ch, so an e-commerce platform. Either it's on socioeconomic or environmental. I will start with the environmental side. We took some measures. As a pure e-commerce players, we have to invest a lot, especially on technology and on logistics. Just to give you some fact about Daindeal, we have a warehouse of 15,000 square meters in Geneva. We have around 160 employees. We have around 800,000 articles in the warehouse, and we send over 1.5 million packages per year to Switzerland customers. We've decided some time ago to look for ways to reduce our impact, environmental impact, and we've decided in our industry to tackle in priority the packaging waste. This is a big issue in e-commerce, and today we all know and we all receive some orders that have a very big package and very small item inside, filled by a lot of materials like plastic. This creates a lot of waste. First and second of all, what we don't see is that it sends a lot of trucks on the roads. So we were conscious that we were not good enough in that way a few years ago. And we really thought how we can reduce the volume of our packages and how we can avoid to have all these materials inside. So we decided to invest in a packaging machine that is an automated packaging machine that avoid completely to fill with materials, and we succeeded to reduce the volume of our packages by 25% of a minimum. I would like to show you a quick video of 10 seconds showing how it works, and if one day you want to visit our warehouse, you are more than welcome. So we see here that the machine cut the cardboard in few seconds. So it scanned the articles inside, and in 6 seconds the package is done, and we don't need to fill materials, and we save 25% minimum of volume. That was very, very important for us, and we are very happy about this impact we have made. Another environmental measures that was important for us, in e-commerce we have a lot of returns, a huge amount, and a portion of these returns, unfortunately, the products are damaged or a little bit damaged, and it's nearly impossible to sell them again. So what to do with those products? It's sometimes a pure loss for the company and a big environmental loss, waste, and we don't want these articles to be in open dumps, to stay there. This is a no way for us, so we implemented a policy since more than 10 years that we will give this product to non-profit organization and for schools, so we give every year around 100 pallets.
Alain, 1 minute.
Yes, okay. The last point concerns gender equity. This is a topic very important for us. I decided since few years not to create gaps in salaries in our companies. concerning gender equity, we don't have a special policies, but we tend to address this topic and to promote gender balance. We also achieved to have, on the management level, we have 14 departments. We have an equal balance between men and female. And we are very happy that this is achieved in our company. So I just wanted to share with you 3 measures that we took and that have for us a very good impact. And I really believe that in the long run, this is very, very helpful.
Thank you very much, Hélène. Thank you. Perfect. So now, Marion, Alain, if you...
It works?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so I think I'm going to start with the definition of impact investing. We were discussing a little bit before. Coming from the financial world, especially from bank, it is to create a positive environmental and social benefits that allow to leverage financial performance on investment. I think what you're proposing are very good initiatives to do some impact, but in my perspective, I don't see it as impact investing as per se. I'm going to give an example. If we remove the company from the industry, totally, and will it bring some benefits, or will it bring we will lose some value to what we bring on the environment side? Let's keep it simple on that aspect. And I would see it on that side. What are your thoughts on it?
Thank you, Marion, for your question. So, impact investing, I see it as what we can do to have a positive impact in the investment we have. I have just gave some example where I really think we have an impact. Maybe it's not a huge one, but we do what we can achieve in the last 10 years in our company. And for me, when we think with our teams, when we do an investment, how we can have a positive investment, that's the key. And either it's a small things or big things, we have to start little by little to introduce impact investing. At least this is my philosophy. And regarding if Deal tomorrow stop the company, we will have an impact in the market, yes or not. I think that we have 160 employees in Switzerland. We fight as an e-commerce to be in Switzerland in an ultra-competitive environment. It's very hard to be here. So yes, I think that will be really a pretty, because we invest. We have wonderful teams that are very creative. And so I will reply that yes.
In the companies you partner with, so you have many companies on your website, will you integrate some values to them, new partners integrating new purposes? A lot of it are based on consumption goods. So we were discussing, for example, the company, you can have a toaster that you would buy at a discounted price, very discounted. How can you enhance these partnerships and bring value in having a real impact?
So today, I didn't concentrate, and I will tell you why, on the supplier side, because we work with around 600 suppliers. We launch every day around 2,000 products on the website, and it's very difficult to have a discussion with all of them. We decided to take care of the impact we can have internally first, because we still have a lot to do and a lot to improve. And where I can have an impact in negotiation, I will try my best. For example, on this packaging machine, it's nice to have, but if the cardboard is not from recycling product at a certain percentage, it doesn't make sense. So I make sure that 66% of the cardboard is made recycling and...
30 seconds.
Okay, thank you. C'est vrai. And when we have a big impact in e-commerce with the delivery transport, we don't do them, of course, by ourselves. We have the choice in Switzerland to work with 2-3 companies, and they already do a good job. We make sure that they treat well. I mean, we see them employees, etc., and that's very important for us to have also an environment of trust, and that we see the employees in the other side working with good conditions.
Thank you. Thank you to both. And now let's welcome the questions actually from the public and from you. Alors, to Alan first, actually. How do you manage the end of life of products from your clients?
That's a good question. That's a very good one. So usually, more and more, the clients, we have a lot of complaints after 2 years because they think that there is a legal guarantee of 2 years on every product, and they complain and they want to return it. So this is a part of the issue, and it's a part of the returns issue that we talked because we try to find solution, and it creates waste. We don't do waste, but we give them then to donation because we cannot sell a product that is used. So this is one of the issues that we treat. We try to be cool with the customers, but at the end, it's most of the time it's a financial loss for us.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Marion, how entrepreneurs actually can be sure to move towards actually the right direction in terms of impact investing? How can they be sure they are making the right decision?
Well, you have I think it's a big topic because you have a lot of information on impact investing, a lot on ESG, a lot on SDG, and people are getting a bit lost on all of this. So the first thing would be to set a very good measure of what we are talking about, to make sure that each time you have a decision that you take within your company will bring value and will bring a performance out of it. And it's something that most of the time we don't understand. If I remove my company, will my company be bringing some value to the market? So it can be with the example you gave. You have, okay, if suddenly your company doesn't exist anymore, you have 160 people that are out of job. So yes, definitely you have an impact on that aspect, and I agree with you. But at the same time, you have to bring it at all levels. You need to bring it into the conception of your company at the core of your company. So for instance, at Alpian, we're a bank proposing investment, and we need to be able to propose the choice of investment product, to be able to do optimization process in our portfolios, to be able to add data to our clients. They are being able at the same time to understand what we are providing as data, information that allows them to take the good decision.
Okay, thank you. Maybe we have one more question to Alain. Alain, would you offer full product recycling for an additional cost at the time of buying? Thinking about that.
We launch, as I said, 2,000 products a day on the platform. So we are offering a very wide range. We don't offer this kind of project, this kind of service features. That will be something that we may think of, but I have really technical issues on my platform is that we have a lot of projects and we are still not ready to propose features in the basket, like do you want to receive your product in priority, not with signature, not. So I have a technical issue that I need to solve, and I have asked often to launch products that are more sustainable on the platform. But the problem is that we don't have a big offer enough in order to make volumes.
Okay, thank you. And Marion, 20 seconds for you to go. Give us actually the difference of Alpien compared to all the other, I would say, neobanks.
Very quickly. First we became recently a bank because we are now licensed by the FINMA. And so our aim are different. What we plan to do is to offer a full ecosystem of managing your finances. What is your wealth beyond money? This is what is truly different from us. We want to know who are the people behind the funds. We want to know what are the dreams behind it. This is one of the main answers. But at the same time, what we say is that we use all the technology to remove all the elements that are not interesting. Changing an address is not interesting, for instance. But we want to advise you and give you the opportunity to do your first investments if you have no knowledge about the industry, and if you do at the same time. And what we do for that is that we are completely changing the process in the banks. Usually the banks come to you and say, oh, I've seen you've been receiving some funds. So let's talk. Yeah, I've been a client with your bank for many, many years, and you never called me before. So the process of calling us will be coming from the client. Then at the same time, when you talk to your banker and you do some investment, your investment in general, the banker has a commission of what he sells to you, no matter you're doing a good performance or a bad one. It doesn't exist at the plan.
That's your case. Okay. Thank you. So thank you to you
Séverine.
both. A round of applause to both of them.
Thank you.
And thank you. Good. So time now to move to the second pitch about and second topic around sustainable development and climate transition. So let's see how to maybe pivot our existing assets, operations, or maybe entire business model, towards a real big ambition. To do that, to know if we are more acting by reaction or really by conviction, let's welcome tonight a women team composed with Aurore Amodru and Noémie Dantine. A round of applause for them. Thank you. Okay, just before you start, Aurore, a few details about both of you. So Aurore, you are an EPFL engineer. I think genetically you were programmed to work in the energy world. Huh? Your father was leading an electricity company, I think. So, and after a very successful entrepreneurial experience in solar energy, you decided to join Roman d'Energie, led today by a very inspiring leader, Christian Petit, and he gave you the mission, which is not a tiny mission, to decarbonize actually the French-speaking part of Switzerland by 2024. And you will be accompanied and partnered tonight with Noémie. Noémie, who is of course very familiar with EHL because she's actually a strategic teacher here, and she has here a twofold mission actually with EHR. First, actually to implement the CSR strategy of EHL on the 3 campuses. And secondly, to plant in each student's head or heart, I don't know, when needed, of course, the CSR sustainable kind of ambition. So thank you to both, and Aurore, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Séverine. Well, thank you very much, Olivier, once again for the invitation. I'm extremely happy to be here tonight. I'm going to start this speech by telling you a little story, which is the story of the hummingbird. You know the story of the hummingbird? This story is about a forest being consumed by huge fire. All the animals, they just come running out of it, completely petrified, powerless, they don't know what to do. And then this little bird, he just stands up and say, I need to do something. I can do something. So he just flies to fetch some water in his tiny little beak and just goes back to the fire. And then he flies back and forth like 100 times as fast as he can. And the other animals, they're just like, what are you doing? It's useless. He stops, look at them, and tell them, well, I am trying the best that I can. And that is the story of the hummingbird. And let me tell you something. It is definitely the story of climate change as well. What does it tell you? It tells you that we do, every one of us, we do have a choice. We can choose to be the hummingbird and try and do the best that we can, or we can just sit back like the other animals, relax, and enjoy the show of planet Earth going down the drain. I'm not trying to break the mood, I promise. I'm just trying to make a point and raise awareness. So as you may well be aware of, human emissions of carbon dioxide and greenhouse gases are the main cause for climate change and rise in temperatures. So I chose to show you tonight a sneak peek of carbon emission in Switzerland. And I promise Switzerland is definitely not the best in class, and you will see why. So our emission within Switzerland, they come from road transport mainly, households, the way we heat and cool our homes, agriculture, mainly cows, and air transport as well. What is probably relevant here tonight, and hopefully we will address the topic with Noemi later on, is that the food sector. The food sector is responsible for 1/3 of our worldwide emission if you combine transport, industry, and agriculture. But in the meantime, let me maybe tell you a little bit about our individual footprint. As I was telling you, Switzerland is not the best in class. We have a really high levels of convenience and consumerism that do jack up our footprint. We have an average of 14 tons of CO2 emission per year per person versus an average of 6 tons in the rest of the world. So you're going to tell me, what kind of levers do we have? How can we be the hummingbird? I'm going to give you a few numbers, maybe you'll have an idea. So if you choose not to fly to Phuket for your next vacation, you're going to save up to 3.8 tons of CO2 emission per year. Another roughly 1.8 if you choose to go wine tasting in France by train versus on an island in Greece. And probably another almost 2 if you buy an e-bike, and please be careful if you buy an e-bike, or use public transport versus your car. I'm not the one telling you what to do or not do. Up until a few years back, I was traveling all around the world, to the Maldives, to Phuket, God knows where. I had no idea what kind of impact it had on the environment.
30 seconds.
So I'm not going to teach you and tell you what is right from what is wrong. I do have a degree from EPFL. I have another degree from IMD. My degree from EPFL, I got it over a decade ago. They were not teaching us anything about sustainability or climate change at the time. I'm not blaming EPFL, please. But I think we have a chance tonight. We have a chance to hear Naomi on the topic and try and understand what is EHL telling and training the students here to raise awareness on these topics. Thank you.
Thank you, Aurore.
Thank you, Aurore. Actually, I guess our first action would be to hire you because you're doing a fantastic job. But joking aside, what we try to do at EHL is to raise awareness on sustainability topics, both in and outside of the classroom. So in the classroom, of course, we have standalone courses on the topic, but we also try to integrate the subject transversally throughout the curriculum. To give you a concrete example, that could be talking about circular economy in economics class, talking about ethics in law, or just an example from last semester, we tried to challenge our students in strategy and influence to come up with a strategy to influence the EHL community to consume more vegan dishes. And on Monday, we'll be implementing their ideas. So that's in the classroom. Outside of the classroom, we try to give our students every opportunity to be actors of change. So that means, giving them opportunities to join a committee, the Sustainability Student Committee, for example. It could be by proposing events or organizing events throughout the year or at Sustainability Week. It can be by having a student business project with a client who wants to have a sustainable business model, et cetera, et cetera. So with all of these different approaches, our goal is basically to train responsible leaders, activate this sustainability mindset, and make sure that they go on and have careers with a maximum of a positive environmental and social impact.
Thank you, Noemi. Can we deep dive a little bit into the food sector? Because I was mentioning before, there's like a lot to do there.
Yes, and you're right. We have a huge opportunity at EHL to educate our student food-wise, because they have this first year, the preparatory year, which is before their bachelor degree, where they go through workshops all over EHL's campus in our outlets. So they will be firsthand seeing everything that we do. So first thing is trying to educate them to the challenges, because they are challenges to, green your food value chain. And so we really try to have these discussions with them from the very beginning, from sourcing, talking about seasonality, talking about selecting local produce, also how the products that we get is packaged. Do we have any leverage on that, yes or no? The production in the kitchen. We have a pedagogical garden on campus. How can we use the produce of our garden for the menus? How can we try to produce meals with minimum waste? And then, of course, everything that goes after, which is recycling, waste management, and responsible consumption, because they also have, as clients, or the entire EHL community as clients, have the responsibility to try to minimize their own waste and choose maybe less meat during the week and have less of an impact on the environment.
Congratulations.
And if we have a bit of time left,
yes.
I also wanted to ask you a question, because this ambition from Romande Energie to decarbonize Switzerland is extremely intriguing, but concretely, what are you going to do?
Thank you. Thank you for this question, and I'm really happy I can advertise the company a little bit as well tonight. So we work on 3 axes. The first one is that we try to provide 100% of green energy to our consumers. So we invest massively in renewable energy, wind, solar, hydro, so that the energy you will get out of your plug is 100% green. That's the first axis. Then we try to provide solutions. As you saw, the gas emission in Switzerland comes from household transport. So us at Romande Energie, we try to provide you with concrete solutions so you can make your home carbon-free. And finally, as I'm trying to do tonight, we're working on awareness and how we can raise awareness and teach people about climate change.
Magnifique. Like 4 seconds to go, but perfect. Thank you so much. So let's welcome the questions actually from you to you both. Okay, alors we have a lot of questions for both of you. Let's take a first one to you, Aurore. You're talking about gas-powered car emissions. Is electric cars a solution for the future? considering raw materials, production, transport, and production of electricity to charge the car? Do you think it is?
Nothing is better than no car, okay? So that's the idea.
Point.
If you do really need a car, electric is better, yes. Why? Because to drive 100 kilometers, you will need, I think, I'm not sure about the numbers, but I think it's 5 times less energy than a normal car, okay? And then the energy you consume, hopefully, if you get your energy from Romande Énergie, then it's green.
Okay, good. Thank you. Noémie, question for you. Are you students clear and fine with the fact that they won't have or enjoy the same life of their parents?
Maybe we should ask them. Who here is an EHL student?
And when you talk to them, when you discuss with them, when you elaborate on these topics with them, what do they say about that?
I don't know if they look at it that way. I'm not sure that I understand the angle and the approach. I understand the idea that unfortunately millennials and Gen Z have inherited from a situation that is not ideal, and that means that if they live the same type of life that we did or that our predecessors did, we're going straight into a wall. Mm-hmm. Now, I think that it's still time for older generations to make radical changes. And I think that what I tell my students on a regular basis is that we're not asking them to be perfect. We're not asking them to live like monks. But what I think they should do is try to challenge themselves one aspect at a time. So maybe make one little change in your life, not one that you're doing anyway because you don't like meat, mm-hmm. but one that, makes you a little bit uncomfortable. And take that step. And then, once you're there, maybe you'll be able to take the next step.
The next one. Okay. Thank you, Noémie. Aurore, what personal decisions have you recently made to reduce your own carbon footprint?
That's a good one. So I think the first one is probably my fight to only keep one car, because we live in, I don't know if you know La Croix-sur-Lutry, which is kind of remote and not really accessible by public transport. And I do work in Morges, and my fiancé work in Neuchâtel. So one car is not that easy, but I mean, we've been there for almost 2 years and we managed. We bought an e-bike. I'm careful, I promise. And we take public transport now. That's the first, probably. Then the second one is that we have limited our vacation by plane to 1 time per year. And as I was telling you before, I mean, you can go to the extreme, or you can allow yourself like a little bit of, I don't know. It just, you try to reduce from where you were before, and that's already really good. And then lastly, I would say it's on the food that we eat. We try to eat locally. I'm very lucky to have a fiancé that studied at EHL, so he's an amazing cook. And he gets the food as much as possible locally.
Okay, thank you, well done. It's a question, actually, maybe we should ask it to both of you. So to achieve, actually, the zero carbon emission, it's what you were saying, really a big change in terms of behavior, okay? What could be your advice in changing this behavior? What would be the advice of the first step we could do in both of your fields? Change of behavior, change of mindset. What would be your first advice to give, both of you, Noémie and Aurore?
You want me to start? Sure. I don't know if it really answers the question, but people often see the change in behavior as a constraint, that it's going to alter their own comfort. It doesn't have to. So you can change your behavior and just live as well as you were living before. It's just a bit different.
Okay. So remain positive about that. Noémie?
I don't know if it's necessarily about behavior, individual behavior, but I think one huge important way to make progress on the topic is collaboration. Collaboration, I think one person individually will not manage, but if the hummingbird had lots of, other animals helping it, it would work fine. And so I think, working with governments, I want to work with Roman Energy now, and, trying to really have synergies and make more impact.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much to both of you for this topic. Thank you. Let's now elaborate on a new angle, which has been slightly touched actually with Aurore and Noémie around sustainability. And let's dive further in the food business. And maybe let's see if, for example, local first, might be a good option to start with. Our two guests are extremely high experts, actually, in the food and beverage business. And I'm very honored to welcome Mr. Andrea Tassistro as the Millennial and Mr. Detlef Schattner.
Hello.
Alors, Andrea, just a few words maybe about you before you start. So you're an entrepreneur and with some key first experiences, I would say, in the food and beverage business. First with Big Group, with Nestlé, and also as a restaurant owner. So you know really the food business from the inside. And you have a dream with the company that you created, Food Detective, and your dream is to become the infrastructure and intelligent operating system of the F&B industry. So we will travel with you alongside your dream. And then you will be partnering tonight with Detlef. So Detlef, you are a marketing and sales director at Nestlé Waters Switzerland. And of course, you are very skilled and a high expert in FMCG, food and beverage, with various responsibilities in marketing and sales. And you are now in charge of the Swiss market for Nestlé Waters. And actually, you're fierce and known as a fierce proponent and actor in the protection of the local environment and workplace. So thank you very much. And let's see actually with both of you if David could, for once, collaborate with Goliath. Thank you. Floor is yours.
Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Perfect, thanks. Thanks for having me, HL, Swiss Who's Who. It's a pleasure to be here alongside Detlef. Before we start, maybe I'm just going to give you a quick intro to what we do at Food Detective, so you have a better understanding of actually how we solve the problem that we solve, and we'll be speaking about in a minute. So at Food Detective, like Séverine said, we're building an infrastructure. We're building a tech stack for the restaurant industry and for any kind of F&B business, actually. So the problem we solve, the main one is the fact that businesses today have too many systems, too many apps, too many tablets. And what we do is that we centralize, so we build a base to centralize all these tools into a single and unique platform and API. By doing this, we're able to do a lot of things down the path, such as aggregating all the orders, aggregating all the bookings in a way that we provide restaurants with intelligent notification, we support them in their daily operation, we remove some tablets, and so on. And the goal of Food Detective ultimately is to become the intelligence of the restaurant industry to actually support this business on a daily basis by providing them with intelligent notifications. And I hope it was clear, and I think we can now jump into the discussion.
You still have time if you want, huh?
No, it's okay.
No, it's okay? Okay, good. Thank you very much, Andrea. So Yeah, that left. You have questions
Does it
for
work?
Andrea? Yes.
So thank you, Andrea. So yes, I discovered also that platform basically through the exchanges we had together. And it's an interesting platform because it's a very large platform and it's very relevant then also to restaurants in their business because they need orders and they need logistics and that's really a very important topic for them. But my question to you is, Andrea, that's a huge platform. It's a lot of data you need to handle. So how do you, as the topic is about carbon footprint, how do you manage here to have that positive impact on your carbon footprint?
So what we do to have this positive impact is that it is on various verticals. And the first one I would say that is, I don't know if you ever saw the delivery problem, but for example, restaurants today have maybe 7 to 8 tablets that they have to manage all their POS payments, printers, delivery, and so on. By removing the delivery, we remove the heat that is caused by the platforms, the energy that is going out. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. For example, on the delivery today, we use a dispatch tool that prioritizes bikes over scooters, that prioritizes electric cars over, how do you call it, normal cars. And this way, we can have a direct impact on the choice that is made by the platform to reduce this carbon footprint. And this is, again, just a little thing we do, because we can go deeper and say we remove, let's say, the food waste by providing restaurants with inventory management, so they don't lose it. We centralize the orders from suppliers like you in order to bring the food at a specific point in time, so you don't have to go 10 times with a massive truck in front of a restaurant. And all of these little action we take and we make have then this impact to remove or at least have a good impact on CO2 emissions. Did I answer your question?
That was very good, thank you.
Now, my question is to you is maybe you can tell us a bit what you do at Nestlé to solve also this problem, knowing that you are not a startup anymore. That
not really.
And that you have basically these huge operations which leads automatically to be in the spotlight when something happens. But I'm sure you do some wonderful things, and maybe it's time to tell us what you do.
Yes, of course, thank you. The question is very fair and very justified, of course, that's why I'm here. So basically the topic is about CO2 emissions. And I will tell you for that a story which is a very, very local story, and which is basically a story of a mineral water brand which is called Henje. You have it all basically in front of you, so thank you for that. That spring is at 20 kilometers from here. So you just go down the route to Bern, 20 kilometers, and then you're there. And 14 years ago, Nestlé Waters, we started their nature protection program, basically, which is called EcoBois. And that nature protection program takes place basically on a territory of 120 hectares around the spring. And we've started basically working there around a lot of initiatives with one major objective, which is we basically want to guarantee the quality of the water. And when you want to guarantee quality of water, then you need to guarantee quality of the soil. It's basically as easy as that, okay? So over the years, we then realized that here in that region, which is the Bra, which is really down the road, you have to go there, that there's a lot of interest in protecting the soil and also protecting groundwater. For one particular reason, it is a zone of intensive farming. And when you talk about intensive farming, then automatically you operate with pesticides, you operate with how is it called, de l'engrais. So and there's exactly and there's a lot of cows. So we already had that example of cows today. Okay, so we were looking basically for a new solution to have more impact. Okay, and then what we did is we came up with an idea which was a biogas plant. So we built, not we, Nestle Waters, because we cannot do that, but we had a third party that constructed a biogas plant just beside the Henny factory. And that biogas plant is operating with 2 ingredients, which are quite simple. We basically take the coffee ground of recycled Nespresso capsules and integrate it in that plant. And secondly, and now it will be a bit vulgar, so I'm sorry for that, 70 farmers in the region bring us their cow shit. Okay? And we also put that in that biogas plant. So we mix that up and create green or renewable energy, which is perfectly natural. Okay? So that there's nothing nuclear, nothing. That simply is very, very much natural and very green. So basically what we try to do here is to create a circular solution where we wanted to integrate also communities from outside our territory, which are the farmers, which is then a third party that has invested on our ground. Okay, so that was basically it. And when you look a bit at the film that is shown on the internet, on the live webcast, then you see, so we really had a massive reduction of 3,000 tons of CO2 with that project and all the others cumulated over the last years, which is really great. And now coming back to you in terms of CO2 emissions is, well, basically that's an interesting platform for us because it's very local. And it touches logistics. And in the beverage business, logistics is a very sensitive topic. Okay, so that needs to be under control, and you have to work on that. So the data you have and what you can deliver, you can always, and you said, you go either on a normal car or on a green car, okay? You can also suggest having wholesalers that are very close or wholesalers that are very far. You can prioritize them with your platform, basically. And this is exactly what we also are looking for. And that's why we operate here on a local level very much, even if we operate with national brands, of course. But this is also, in terms of logistics, something which is very important for us, that we can then also have synergies here with a platform like you have established. Okay.
Thank you. So nice collaboration ahead then.
Oh, yes, yes.
Good, good. I don't know if you have any more questions to each other or it's okay? Okay, good. So, perfect. You're perfect in timing. So let's move to the public questions. Alors, we have... Detlef, sorry, the first one is for you. What is the future of bottled water and PET?
Yes, well, it's not a new question, you know.
No.
I got that question quite often. So today there is still a relatively high demand on the market for PET in general. Let's be very honest. The PET market is not declining. If it's then in waters or soft drinks or in other beverages, PET is growing in that market, okay? We have to be clear with that. What is more important, and this is when it comes really to how do we operate with this ingredient. Basically, PET, it is very much, a lot of people think it's very nasty, and I'm not here to advertise anything, but it's an ingredient you can recycle and reuse quite often. Not eternally, it's not like aluminium, but you can use it very, very, very often. So PET is present, and what we do here in Switzerland, and this is really where we see that we live in a very, very sophisticated culture here when it comes to recycling and environmental also attitude. So what happens is, in Switzerland, 9 out of 10 bottles are recycled without any deposit. 82% go back in the circuit, so in the circle through PET Recycling Switzerland, and we integrate then this recycled PET in our bottles. So today, at Henny, for example, we operate with 82% of recycled PET. So out of 100 bottles, 82, if you want an average, are from recycled PET. And this is basically the circuit where we go further. Then, second, in terms of bottled water. Bottled water at that moment is a bit sinking in terms of category growth here in that market. It's not a secret. You can see that on AC Nielsen and on other sources. So it's not an issue. But however, we need to transform basically our business. So we work on other solutions today where we basically, over a 20-year scope, try to get more and more in other businesses which are more environmental friendly. And I'm not able, unfortunately, to talk in details about that today. So.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Detlef. Andrea, with your food detective actually platform, of course, obviously you're using a lot of data. And of course, you have a huge technical infrastructure. We all know that those installations actually consume a lot of energy. How actually do you compensate? What's your global footprint, I would say, for your company?
So I think that today, even though we operate kind of across Europe, I would say, we're still at a very, very small scale. So searching on Google consume more than most probably what we do. And one thing that we can do, I think it can be a solution, it is to compensate by doing all these things that we do our best to do at Food Detective, and having actually a calculation. So showing people who want to know how much we consume in our data centers and how much we reduce by having these little action across all the verticals that we have and give a result. And ultimately, the result will be bigger because this is an indirect aspect, and we have a lot of direct aspects that we treat at Food Detective.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. Detlef, how to reduce emissions and societal reduce emissions. Okay, how to reduce emissions and societals on countries depend on bottled water, not Switzerland. Okay, so maybe it means that. Okay, let's move to another one. I'm sorry, not so clear with that. When do you think bottles will be fully environmentally neutral?
Well, at the end, you always have an environmental impact. You know, we transport, of course. Then of course we can work on RPT. We can work more on train than on trucks, etc. So we work on all that stuff. Yes, of course there are possibilities, but you will always have environmental impact. You cannot avoid that 100%.
Do you think, for example, coffee is less environmental friendly, drinking coffee than water? How? Yeah, tell us maybe how many, I don't know, liters of water do you need for 1 liter of coffee?
I give you a simple example. You know, it's basically not to finger point or whatever. In the waters industry, to produce 1 liter of water, we need 2 liters.
Okay.
Okay.
Coffee?
What do you think? How many liters of water you need to produce 1 liter of coffee?
Maybe, I don't know.
I think it's a good question. You find it on the internet. I will talk about that if you want when we go for the dinner.
A lot. A lot.
How much they want to know now?
Yeah. 800, 2,000.
Time is run out, so.
Okay. Okay, so anyway, thank you so much to both of you, okay, for your sharing, and round of applause for you. Okay, let's talk now about a very important topic, of course. It's going to be about education, access to education, and gender equality. Of course, and let's investigate a bit more how education could be a real change enabler. To go further, actually, on this topic, I'm very happy to welcome Chloé Carrière and Olivier Daguet. So please, round of applause to both. And before we have the chance actually to hear Chloé, we have to be extremely, I mean, we are very lucky for having Chloé with us tonight, because she should be actually on the moon, as you can see.
True.
Because Chloé actually is passionate about what's going on in the air and on the planets. And she wants to be the first woman on the moon, actually. This is as simple as that. So, yeah, let's hope you're going to achieve your dream. But before that, let's retain you a few moments on the Earth with us. And before you realize your dream, I think you have another big ambition for us all, is really to reconcile us, I would say, with science. And underneath that, you want also to develop the woman presence in science, and believing definitely that science could be a real game changer for our planet for good. Then you will be partnering actually with Olivier Daguet. You're a fierce believer in education too. And you are actually developing a lot of projects through your foundation, Saint-Exupéry, Fondation Antoine de Saint-Exupéry for la jeunesse. And you are supporting everyday education through different projects, through reading projects, making school as a life enabler experience. And you're acting in more than 15 countries. So very happy to be with you tonight. And please, Chloé, the time, you have 5 minutes now, only for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's really a privilege to be with all of you tonight and to be able to talk about such important topics that are education and gender equality. And when I was asked to talk about this, I really asked myself, there's so much to say in 5 minutes. What am I going to say? And, you know, our generation and my generation, we're faced with global and massive challenges today and for the decades to come. We've talked about climate change or sustainable development, and it seems now that global wars are also on the menu. And when you think about it, education is really at the center. And so the main thing that I like to tell you tonight is that education is a solution. But for it to be a successful solution, we need to completely rethink how we're currently doing it. I don't know about you, but I think that education is an iterative process. We don't know when we are 1 or 2 years old what we're going to do when you are 25 or 45. And to support my claim, I'd like to tell you a bit more about myself and my story. So this is me. I was 1 year old, and I can tell you that in this image, I probably didn't think I would be one day wearing a shiny spacesuit in front of 200 people. Probably more thinking about how I'm going to let my parents sleep tonight, or what am I going to eat in an hour or so. This is me at 6. And at that time, I wanted to be a princess or a singer. Is it really what I wanted to be, or is it what society told me that I could be? That's also another question. The passion for space really came later on. When I was a young woman, I was 15 years old when I fell in love with the space field, and I realized I wanted to become an astrophysicist, study black holes or the beginning of the universe. And this is why I came to EPFL to study physics. And I failed my first year at EPFL. And when I did it again, I took some time to start projects with a purpose to contribute to the space field, even if I were only 19 years old. And this is when I realized that I don't want to be a physicist. I don't want to be behind a screen looking at lines of codes to see if this is a star or not. I want to be out in the real world and doing projects. So I shifted and I said I want to do management and engineering, and hopefully one day becoming an astronaut and walking on the moon. And a year ago, I had a terrible accident at home, and I lost my left eye, which will make it very difficult for me to become an astronaut, even though it's still a dream. So this is why today I define myself as a space influencer, because I really want to bridge the gap between science and society, and I really believe that in this post-pandemic era, this is what we need. So in only 24 years, my path has changed quite a lot. And I think the message is that when we talk about education, we need to include that failure is part of the path. That taking the less traveled road is okay. And as long as you do something that makes you happy at time T, then you are exceptional, as we could hear in the speech by Carol at the beginning. Now, what about gender equality? Well, gender equality is an educational matter. I'm 24, as I mentioned, and for the past 23 years, I've grown up thinking that equality was a state of mind. And I've come to realize that this is not the case. And I think we need to raise our daughters and sons knowing that they are growing in an unequal world. A world where, when we learn the French grammaire, we say, le masculin remporte sur le féminin. And a world where, in school, we don't learn what consent is. And those little details are what are going to make the changes, I believe, in gender equality. And to end my talk, and I think that was appropriate, I want to show you my favorite quote of The Little Prince. Grown-ups never understand anything by themselves, and it is tiresome for children to be always and forever explaining things to them. Because yes, we need to teach our children, but we also need to learn from them. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ça marche?
Oui,
Yeah.
très bien.
Good evening,
Allez-y.
everybody. So you will see that Chloe and I are sharing the same passion for this little fellow, the little prince, here and here. It's not a coincidence, of course. Chloe, talking about two major topics, education and education in science, and gender equality in education. Can you tell us what you do to improve these two targets in your daily life?
Yes. So as I mentioned,
Very briefly.
I'll try. No, very briefly, I say I define myself as a science influencer, a space influencer. It's a term that is kind of new. I mean, I'm not posting pictures of myself in a bikini on Instagram. I'm using social media and going in an outreach with adults, but also with children, to really try to inspire them with my story, but also really implementing specific projects. I think of one project that we did together in a primary school where we run a one-year project with children that were 7 to 8 years old, where they needed to design their very own space mission. So everything they learned in class was to be able to do and perform their mission. So they were astronauts for 3 days where they simulated life on another celestial body. And you need to, for instance, learn how to read a clock because you have a very specific flight plan, and in space the time counts. Or you need to learn how to do math because a space mission costs. So you need to do a budget to make sure that you can actually do it. So this is the type of concrete actions that I try to do in my everyday life with you.
And gender equality?
Gender equality is, I want to say, it's kind of a new topic for me, or I'm reflecting in a different way. If you would have asked me the question a year ago, I would have said, I fight for gender equality only by what I do. So by showing that I am a young woman, and I'm able to speak in front of an audience, I'm able to do EPFL, and simply only that. Because as I said, I did believe that equality was only a state of mind. Now I'm really much more involved in specific actions that I think will make the difference. And through my social media, a lot. I try to talk about different news. I mean, we've seen what's happening currently in the US, for instance. So I really try to advocate and discuss around those matters.
How many followers do you have? It's not a secret.
It's not a secret, no. I don't have that much. I mean, on Instagram, I have about 1,500. And then I'm a YouTuber. So I have a YouTube channel where I have about also, 1,000 followers there. And I use social media, but also I try to do really things in person, although this has been kind of difficult for the past 2 years. Yeah. How about you?
Saint-Exupéry? I don't have personally. Saint-Exupéry is 50,000 on Instagram, yeah. It's not much, but... Okay, in the Saint-Exupéry Foundation, we believe that the challenge of sustainability is going through, the solutions are in technological innovation, means science, means education for science. And that it's a really big challenge now to convince young people, young generation, to invest themselves in science studies. So you are studying in PFL. So do you think now in this kind of school, this priority is enough spread among the schools, among the teens?
Well, I think that sustainability is, of course, a core concept. And we've seen Aurora told us just before that a decade ago that we were not mentioning it, but now it's a big thing. We have a master's around sustainability, and it's something that we try to always take into account when you design a project. But I still believe that although we have a lot of initiatives, it's not something that we think by default. And I'll take you a specific example. So we talk about here sustainability on Earth. And we also have now sustainability in space, where we have a lot of problems. So we've been sending satellites in orbit for the past 50 years without considering what would happen to them when they're not operational anymore. So now we have junk in space, and probably it's gonna hit one day a communication satellite, and you would not be able to have Google Maps on your telephone, and everybody would like, okay, that's a problem. And it's something that we are not enough taking into account. So we think directly of the things we can see and the consequences we see directly, but not enough of the things that are behind it, I believe.
Thank you. Sorry, I have to stop you. I'm so sorry. Sorry.
You had to ask a question.
And let's see actually what kind of questions you might have. Alors, yeah, Chloé, but it's linked to what you were just saying, actually. Okay, what do you think about spatial tourism?
That's a very good question, and we're laughing because of course, that's a big debate now, and especially with the general public. So first of all, I did a video on that matter on my YouTube channel. So if you're interested and want to dive deep into that, you can go and look at it. I think it's a complicated topic, and I am not the kind of person that likes to say this is black or white. I think that space tourism poses some ethical concerns, some environmental concerns, but that it also brings a lot to society. And it's something that was meant to happen, because we've seen space evolve as NASA, European Space Agency, going up here. Now companies are starting to see a new resource where they can generate value. So I think there was, of course, something that we could have seen, that this space tourism was meant to be developed. I believe that it's a good thing, but that we should limit it as everything. And the good thing is we're only at the beginning, so we get to set the rules now. And this is what I'm trying to do. What do you think about space tourism?
Well, I think it's not only about space tourism, it's about space exploration and space industry, globally speaking. I think the technological innovations that they reached in this industry are now available for other industries on Earth. So I think it's positive on this way.
True. We were talking about the coffee before. Your coffee machine comes from space exploration.
Oh. So it's good for science, and it's good for humanity, globally speaking. Okay. Then tourism, as we said last time, is to be limited and to be controlled. Like we said, we choose to travel once a year to Philippines or to Thai, and well, it should be the same for the space. We should protect the space as we have to protect the planet from this mass tourism.
Thank you. Olivier, maybe to deep dive a bit more into the projects that you are developing, can you give us maybe a bit more concrete achievements of some of your key projects?
Yes, hopefully we have some achievements. We have been working with the foundation since 13 years now, so it's quite recent. But we are working with the same partners since then. So we have 10 years view of some of our actions. For example, in Cambodia, we are working with a big French NGO who is building all the infrastructure for readings and books in Khmer in Cambodia, in the country. It's a fantastic work. And we have issued the first children book in Khmer. That was 12 years ago. It was The Little Prince in Khmer, Oprashkan, something like that. And it has been a huge success in the village and the libraries. We have bibliobus, what we call bibliobus or boat bus, that are bringing books, children books, to the small village. And this works very successfully. And now we can see that we have a real improvement of bringing the culture and the Khmer language and readings to this village and to these kids. So for us, it's a big satisfaction, yes. Thank you.
Thank you. And just maybe one last question to both of you that you need to answer with one word, okay? Which will be, in order to promote gender equality, which word would you like to tell us? Just one word. It's a tough one.
Inclusiveness.
And you?
To the young woman, please involve yourself in science.
Okay, so science.
Yeah, to science, you will bring a lot more.
Okay. So thank you very much to both of you. So we have been in space, we have been in food. So now let's move to another world. A world where every product tells a story. Where clients seek authenticity and craftsmanship. I mean luxury. And let's investigate if luxury is now evolving toward a more emotional connection, going even beyond the product. Two great guests to accompany us today around this topic of luxury and transmission, Mr. Ryan Laver and Mr. Alain Delamura. Please join us. Thank you very much. Before you go on, let me introduce you. So Ryan, you're final year, actually, EHL students, and you're also an ambassador at Cartier as a student. Alain Delamura, you're CEO of Jacques Drault. Few more words about you, Ryan. You have always been passionate about luxury and especially about luxury experiences. You have one dream, which is today to own and to open your own niche luxury hotel. Alain, actually you are passionate about craftsmanship, or about also complicated watchmaking, and you're also the man actually behind the business model shift of Jacques Drault. For you, this shift is really to put the client at the very center and to create the shortest connection between the client and the watch expertise in order to build and to propose the ultimate luxury experience. Thank you to you both. And Ryan?
Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, did you know that last year alone, 280 billion euros have been spent on luxury? My name is Ryan Lever, a millennial, and I'm here today to talk about the future of luxury. If I were to ask each one of you to define luxury, the answers would be different. This brings me to my very first keyword of tonight, individuality. Individuality and its true meaning to luxury is all shaped around this emotional and personal construct. It is very important to keep this in mind, that this personal meaning, or how I should say, personal purpose, will always remain at the heart of luxury. And ultimately, this emotional desire is what leverages the luxury industry and allows brands to bond with clients. In the end, this is what makes us humans, the ability to dream and to experience emotions. This is all closely linked to aspirations. To us millennials, like myself, aspiration is about who we want to become and in what kind of world we want to live in. However, I would not call millennials aspirational, rather intentional, which means doing something with purpose. So a continuous seek is something relevant for us. We pay close attention whether or not a particular brand is the one we want to do business with. Purpose in a sense of what kind of world we want to live in, but more important, how can we actively co-create this future together? So I therefore believe luxury brands must switch from a focus on outcome, so the purchase, towards a focus on a vehicle toward outcome, so the experience. Brands need to look ahead and anticipate change, and they must nurture their key strength, which is the customer relationship. To add some meaning or something personal, a personal relationship is key. So this brings me to my second keyword of tonight, which is hyper-personalization. Personalization is nothing new to the luxury industry, yet hyper-personalization reaches another level, where clients actively co-create and co-experience the creation of something truly unique. Many millennials seek meaning and value beyond product or status. And the sole hedonistic motives will slowly fade, and self-actualization through hyper-personalized experiences will arise. Personal purpose yet goes beyond hyper-personalization. It plays back to what role you wish to play in society. And we millennials were often described as the woke generation. As we are aware of all the negative sides of luxury, we know that unconscious consumption cannot be the future. And when awareness is reached, the next step which follows is action. The luxury industry has no choice but to co-create a future of creating perpetual value by responding to relevant global issues. Well, it all sounds promising, yet if it were easy, it would not be the luxury industry. This brings me to my third and last keyword of tonight, authenticity. The luxury industry is only as successful as it is today as each brand masters to elegantly reinvent its rich brand heritage and bring it into today's world. Every action a brand takes needs to feel genuine, and it must be aligned to its DNA, in particular when it comes to responding to global social and environmental issues. So brands can no longer just wrap a beautiful story around how much they care about our planet. They have to actively and drastically find innovative solutions to have an overall positive impact. So luxury must go hand in hand with global social and environmental issues, through creating experiences of crafting collective value for the greater society. So luxury, the future of luxury will be drawn to using one's privilege and ability to consume luxury to foster more opportunities for the less fortunate ones and to have an overall positive impact. So as I pointed out, luxury is full of contradictions: individuality, collectivity, exclusivity, inclusivity. And this coexistence of contradictions crafts a unique dynamic. This dynamic ultimately ignites emotions. And in the end, luxury is not consumed to please a need, but to please a desire, to please one's inner dreams, one's wish for self-actualization. I envision a future of luxury grounded in individuality, hyper-personalization, and authenticity. So millennials, join me on this exciting journey towards the future of luxury. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ryan. And please.
Yes, so Ryan, I cannot more agree with all what you said. But now, of course, this is a lot of very big names, nice words, theory. So I'm ready to I am ready to answer your question now to explain you how we act these, how we translate it in actions, as you said. And just for you to remind and to know what kind of luxury we speak about with Jacques Hérault. Jacques Hérault is born in 1738, and Jacques Hérault has always done objects, automat, watches for the Cour des Grands, to the King of Spain, to the King or the Queen of Great Britain, even to the Cité Interdite, to the Emperor of China. So this is the kind of product we do, and today, for you to know also, the enterprise price, the beginning price for our Jacques Hérault is 150,000 Swiss francs, and the average price is nearly 500,000 for a watch. So this is really the ultimate luxury when you think people can afford, and when they can afford, they would like to spend or invest in this kind of product. So I will answer your question, but it's on the mind, and remember, Rick, that we are on the last level of luxury watchmaking art.
With pleasure. So my first question would address the rising generation have a strong need, as I pointed out, for hyper-personalized products. So how does your Maison differentiate yourself from the competition and stand out in this point?
Well, first of all, we only do unique watches. It can go through a configurator where you build yourself your watch, or you can come to see the artist and work with them directly, hand to hand, to see how to create. We have an artist who is making dials with a little mosaic with an egg shell broken and making, so it's impossible to do it twice the same. So this is the ultimate, only unique watches. This is the first of the main point of the...
Very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. So I saw and researched that you have a very bold strategy for the future. You will only have one, let's say, touch point directly with your clients in your manufacture in La Chaux-de-Fonds. So how do you envision for the future to nurture more meaningful relationship with your customers?
Well, it is exactly the same. In fact, when you sell a watch on the price I told about before, of course, these people, they don't go so much to go in the different boutiques. So we keep only one manufacturer where we make everything. And the idea is to come into a phygital approach where first we make the contact with the final customer, but not the contact through me or through salespeople, the contact with the artists who are making the watches, who are making the métier d'art. So through this direct contact to the artist, it's not the contact with the product, it's the contact to the people who make the product. And then when you do that, you can see full of the authenticity, as you spoke about. And when you have the authenticity and the passion of the artist, then you give emotion to your product. And I remember Joël Robuchon. I was here in that hotel, that school with Joël Robuchon, and he was also always trying to do the same, showing the people working instead of just showing the final product. And it's exactly the same philosophy. So we are nomad. We go to see the customer where he is, or he is coming to see us. And then in a second time, he can communicate through all the digital approach. This is also something for the sustainability. They can also be in contact if they remain and they stay home and they are in contact with the artist, but they have to meet once at least the artists who are making the project of their dream.
Definitely. So we, as I pointed out, millennials like myself, we have a greater desire for experiences and have this unique, let's say, experiencing the brand, not only the product. So how do you plan to integrate this, let's say, experience approach within Jacques Hérault?
Well, it's exactly what I said, in fact, and we a lot of speak about experience. It's true. Today, everybody is jaded, especially if you have a lot of money. You know everything about everything, but the experience, when you do the experience, you know already it's something. But when you make an experience where you learn something, then this is something. And I don't know anybody who is coming to see these people working who is not, wow. And I did not know that, I did not know that. And this is the surprise effect which we have to give, and we try to give through the experience, not only through an experience we have done already, but through an experience who will let you learn something new about anything of art like we do here.
Definitely. So ethical production and transparency becomes key. It's not only a need anymore, it's really an expectation for the industry. So how is Jacques Hydro's strategy to really respond to this purpose-driven expectation of consumption?
Alain, you have 10 minutes to answer that.
Yeah.
10 seconds.
No,
10 seconds. 5, sorry.
No. I think you know we must remain completely flexible. We must adapt to the situation, to the actual situation. And I worked for 2 years in Ecuador, so I went to the Galapagos, and Darwin said about the species, saying that it is not the strongest, neither the most intelligent who will survive, but the most responsive to change. And this is the key motto of we have to remain flexible and to adapt to the wishes of the customer and to the situation of the world today.
Thank you. Thank you to both of you. So, alors, questions from the public to you. To Ryan first. How do you plan to hyper-personalize your hotel then?
It's a very interesting question, and I think I will not share too many details because I think I will still want to stand out in the future. But what is key when it comes to hyper-personalization, as simple as it sounds, is to really know your guests. It goes back to the true heart, to meet your guests where they are, to have these multiple touch points and to integrate it naturally in hotel operations. If I envision my future hotel, there will be no fixed positions such as front desk, guest relation, butler. Every person in the hotel will be the main point of contact. So there shouldn't be this limitation of where you work in which department. That's why I also specify a niche boutique hotel. It comes back to size. Having a limited size enables that. You need to know all your guests in the house. You need to know their preferences, where they are, what they do. And this will enable you to hyper-personalize and to anticipate what their next wishes, what their dreams are, and to really craft on that relationship, I would say.
Okay, thank you. Maybe a question to Alain, but yeah, or maybe to both of you. Luxury often equals to unnecessary. How do you address this duality? And what's your definition of luxury?
Would you want to start, shall I start? Well, definitely the key of luxury in the end ultimately is it's something unnecessary. However, as I pointed out, we are humans. We love to dream. Part of dreaming is things that aren't necessary. So there it really pays a tribute back to luxury products. They're meant for perpetual value. If you buy a watch at Jacques Hydro for $500,000, you won't buy a second one necessarily every month. It's something that you will keep for your life. This perpetual aspect gives a whole new dimension for the sustainability perspective on luxury and the consumption of luxury. So I really think this is something that we should keep in mind as well. And ultimately, human behavior is found in these emotional parts. And it's difficult to change those emotions towards the pleasure you get by consuming something luxurious or something that is truly meaningful to you. So this would be my approach.
Yes, and I could add that you said keeping a watch for your life. That's fantastic. And it goes also for me together with what you said just before. We must know our customer. And I made that school a couple of months ago, but I made that school here in Lausanne. And one of the most simple sentences we have learned, but for me the most important, one of the most important, was to say that before to try to find new customer, make your job correctly enough to let the customer you have to come back. And this is for me one of the main motto. We must know our customer. We must let them know. And unfortunately, in watch business, sometimes the big job is done to attract the customer. Then you try to sell the watch. And when he has paid the watch, you forget about him, which is completely wrong. And this is exactly through customer journey map we are organizing now to Jacques Hydro. I want that the job is at 40% of the total when you have sold the watch. And 60% is to come after, it's after sales, but not only, is to keep the contact, to know the customer. And Mr. Pagani is a friend of me, and he was saying that a real customer is not a customer who is coming once at your place, it's a customer who is coming at least 3 times. And he's beginning to be a customer after 3 times he came, and this is really the philosophy we like. And we have to show these kind of samples in the luxury industry with these kind of prices. We have to show the way.
Okay, so pleased to serve your customer forever. Okay, meeting point, I think you answered to that actually, Alain. Does luxury have to be expensive?
No. To be honest, no, we are expensive, but it's not the only reason,
It's
and
not
it's
the only reason why you
the
are
only definition of luxury. I can say it that, okay, the watches are expensive, but sometimes we have some present for the customer. Sometimes we have some attention. And I can tell you, sometimes it's what really does not cost anything. Can be a phone, can be a little egg for Easter for the son or the daughter of the customer, not for him only. These kind of little things, which does not cost anything or really not so much, is also expression of the luxury on the top of the level, which is for customer care, I would say, globally.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Time
you.
is over, I'm sorry, but thank you very much to both of you. Last but not least, okay, so let's elevate ourselves even higher, if I may say, and let's embrace a life meaning topic and with personal fulfillment. We can be very honored today to have with us, let's say, two heroes, two modern heroes. And we are very happy to welcome Mrs. Sofia Gonzalez for this last battle, and Mr. Jacques Valenti. So before we start with your presentation, Sophia, let me introduce both of you. So Sophia, you are a student right now at City University in London, studying media, communication and sociology. You were born with a leg disability, and 5 years ago, you discovered one of your passions in life, which is athleticism. Thanks to what you are, you participated to your first Olympics in Tokyo this year. Of course, you will accompany us and make you accompany you in this incredible trip and journey you are currently starting. Jacques, actually, you are a kidney transplant recipient for the last 14 years. You are a fully accomplished sportsman in the air and on the sea. And you have a famous motto in life, which is, later is always too late, and let's do things now. So please, let's hear now you, Sophia, magnifying your battle for life or your life battle. Thank you.
Thank you. So hello, everyone. I would just like to say that everyone here that talked was really inspiring. And thank you for inviting me. It's an honor. So I'm just going to tell my little story here. It's kind of crazy for me to tell my story today. So my name is Sofia Gonzalez. I'm 21 years old. I'm a Swiss Paralympic athlete and a university student. And 5 years ago, I learned to run. So it's kind of crazy. Usually, like, I think everyone here learned to run when they were a baby, right? And for me, it was only 5 years ago. I was born with a right deformation of my right leg. And at 3 years old, we amputated my right leg. But for me, I was like born like that. It didn't mean for me to have something that could stop me. So yeah, and last year I was qualified for the Tokyo Paralympics, and I did 2 finals, and I arrived in the top 7 of the world that day in Tokyo. So that was kind of a thank you. Thank you so much. So yeah, that was one of my biggest achievements. I also won last year the European Championships in the 100-meter, a bronze medal in the 100 meters. So that was also a really big achievement for me. It was my first medal and not the last, I hope. So yeah, and I'm also now going to Road to Paris 2024 for the next Paralympics, and hopefully much more Los Angeles 2028, and maybe the next ones also. So that will maybe be something that I will achieve in the future.
Unfortunately, my prosthetic leg, as you can see on the picture here, is a prosthetic leg. It's 15,000 francs. And unfortunately, the disability insurance does not cover it. So for me, personal fulfillment is really important because it's something that you have to believe in yourself. And my first sponsors were my parents. They're here today. So they sponsored me with another association. It was called Plusport. And without that, I would have not been able to run. So 5 years ago, you imagine a kid, I was like 14 years old. I was like, what am I going to do? And it was the first time that I could ever run. Imagine, you didn't run for 14 years. And it was for me, everyone asked me, what is it like? And for me, the emotion and the word I would describe is flying. Flying and being free. So yeah, that was the emotion I could receive at that moment.
Thank you. And may I ask you maybe what is the biggest challenge that you have been, struggling for the last 5 years, becoming an athlete? What was really new and challenging for you?
So for me, it happened really fast. It's only been 5 years that I'm an athlete and I'm training, I'm competing internationally, competing locally in Switzerland also. I think the biggest challenge I had was to overcome all the obstacles with obviously sponsorship, but also believing in yourself, because the Paralympic world is really hard. Unfortunately, I don't live from my sport. It's something that I would dream of. And so as an Olympian, you already have so many challenges if you live as an athlete, because you have to pay all your training camps, all your maybe sports clothes. But for us Paralympic athletes, we train maybe more, I can say, because we have to have all those equipments. I mean, not only for me, also for wheelchairs users. I don't know if you ever saw that, but that is also a huge amount of money and a huge amount of adapting. I would say the Paralympic athletes are really adapting in that world.
Okay. Thank you very much. Jacques?
Very inspiring. That's the reason. Thanks for the invitation. And really, when I heard the story of Sofia, she decided when she was 14 to run. And I am 14 years old today because someone saved my life 14 years ago. So that's the reason why we challenged together. Perhaps she has a question for me. I don't see the question before, so I don't know what you want to ask me.
So I want to ask you, what is the biggest risk in sailing? Because I know you sail a lot.
There is quite a lot. The only risk is not to reach the other side of the Atlantic. But now there is no risk. The most risky sport is living. There is 100% of die at the end. So now I just appreciate since 14 years now every second of my new life. So it's only pleasure, only fun, and only the way to say thanks to the people who saved my life.
Could you maybe tell us more about the kind of races you did, Jacques, and the conditions in which you did?
Yeah, so I had the chance to... so in 2007, I was crossing the Atlantic solo from France to Brazil. And I discovered that I have this kidney illness, so I had to be repatriated in Switzerland urgently. And I got a phone call one day from a friend who said, I'm a universal donor, and if it works, I give you a kidney. So since that day, I race again, and I participate to the Route du Rhum in 2018, and I reached the Guadeloupe, and that was really the biggest...
But I heard that you did this first you did it a little bit like a pirate, if I may say, because you were not really officially part of it, no?
Yeah. So in 2014, I didn't have the budget. We'll talk about budget later for Sofia, but the budget. So I decided to say like as a pirate. So I took the start of the Route du Rhum in 2014. I reached Guadeloupe, Pointe-à-Pitre. And the people, it was so fun. So they knew there was a Swiss guy alone in the Atlantic, and that was quite fun.
And I have maybe, before we jump to the public question, I have one question. Do you think because you're different, because you have this difference, you're stronger than, no, let's say, people without difference?
I don't know. I have a quote that I say a lot. It's my difference is my attitude. So for me, I think difference is not something bad. We're all different at the end of the day. I think that society showed before and even today we're trying that we all have to be the same. We all have to be pretty. We all have to be a certain standard. And I think my difference makes me stronger in a way that I made it into my strength. It's what today I'm known about. It's my sport. Every time I put my blade on, so it's this prosthetic blade, it's like I'm a warrior on that track.
Okay. And you, Jacques?
I think I'm a better man now. So when I was in the business, I was working with banks and digital transformation, and I spent a lot of time of working. And when people were sick, I said, "Come on, just don't listen to you, and go. And after this accident, I thought I'm just a better man because I listen to myself, and I also more listening to the other. And yeah, it's a new life, it's a new Jack, and it's cool.
Thank you. Thank you to both of you. So maybe let's, first, thank you. Congratulations. And questions from the public would be, so to both of you, a big question first. What would be your main advice or your main message, actually, to help us, all of us, to become more inclusive toward difference? If ever you feel that we are not.
I think just continue what we do. So I'm always sailing against normal people. I went to the world in catamaran and I race against normal ones. So that's the message. I'm not different. I just have a present which is not mine in my body.
Gift.
But for me, I think inclusivity is really important today also, not only for disability people, because I do speeches in schools or with big companies, and every time I try to say I'm trying to encourage them, not because I'm different, to see people differently. We're all the same. And even though you may, I don't know, experience something in life that's difficult, we all have obstacles in life. I may have ones that's a little bit bigger, but that doesn't mean that everyone must not overcome their own obstacles. What I also I'm trying to build a project that is being able to pay blades and wheelchairs to do sports for kids. Because unfortunately, I wasn't able to get one in school. And in Germany or in France, the disability insurance covers it. And if people or kids can't be able to have those equipments, they will never be able to do sports. And I think sports is a really big subject to have inclusivity all around the world.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So maybe linked to this question, what kind of future do you envision actually linked to maybe to some projects? How do you see a future?
For me, it's that project I'm trying to build. I talk with the government to try to change, because those are laws, unfortunately, that are by the Swiss government, because it's too expensive. Sports for a disability person is a luxury. Sorry for the word again, but it's a luxury for us. So I think for the future, that's what I'm trying to create is for the kids, because as we mentioned before, I think each of our speech are linked, is education. That's where sports in schools, we can have kids with disability have those equipments. They will be more accepted and be maybe not judged and viewed differently, and more as superheroes and not as disability kids.
Thank you. And last question for both of you. Do you think people with no difference could be as strong as you? Jacques, maybe?
Definitely yes. Yeah, no, there is no difference when you are on the starting line or when you are. I know there is no difference. This is different because it's a physical difference.
Yeah.
But I think no, it's just a question of meaning. Just be strong, and it's not important to fall 4 times. It's important to get up 5.
And to what extent, or what do you think? Why do you think difference scares? It's a philosophical question.
Because we don't see it. We're not used to it. Like here in a room, I'm different, and we're not used to see it. And I'm the only one here. So it scares people because it's unknown. It's something that we don't know, maybe. And that's where also education is really important, because we can educate kids in schools where, for example, I don't know. I mean, I haven't talked to my peers, but I probably educated some of them in my school, because I went to a total public normal school. And for them, of course, at the beginning, they asked questions. But at the end, they considered me as totally like them. Like, there is no difference. I think the word difference really scares people, because at the end of the day, as I mentioned before, we're all different. There is no one as same as the other. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Can I just
yes,
have just 10 seconds?
Go ahead. Yes.
I have just 10 seconds. This is, people who try to do things, they just inspire. And this young lady just inspired me. And really, I would dream to see her in Paris with a big and good sponsor that she can train like she deserves.
Definitely. We look at you in Paris. Looking forward to see you at Paris Olympic, for sure.
Yeah, we hope so.
Yeah, thank you to both. Thank you very much. All right, so now time has come actually for all of you to vote. Just let me remind you the different battles that you've been hearing tonight. So the first battle about impact investing, starring Alan. The second battle around sustainable development and climate transition, starring Aurore. The third one about limiting CO2 emission and food waste with Andrea. Fourth one about access to education and gender equality with Chloe. Fifth about luxury and transmission with Ryan. And last about personal fulfillment with Sophia. So please vote through digitally for the public, and for the jury, please give your envelope to Olivier. So we just need a few seconds. Ah ben bien sûr.
So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you, all of you millennials. I would say I have one word, maybe some words, but source of inspiration, respect. This is what I would like to have in mind. Another thing is this one, the Swiss Wizou Award 2022. It's just the beginning. Due to the different millennials we had tonight, I think it's really just the beginning of a long story. So thank you to be here tonight. Thank you once again, Séverine. You did a great job. I would like to invite with us Isabelle Arche, member of our committee, and also Olivier Daguet, president of the Fondation Saint-Exupéry, for the 2 awards. Maybe Séverine, you could stay with us.
Yes.
You do the job perfectly. So for that, I would like to give you the award of jury and the public award.
Okay. Start with the jury.
Hello? Yes, it's working.
Suspense. I can tell it was very hard from a jury perspective. And the winner is Sofia Gonzalez.
Wonderful. So, and for the second award.
And the winner is Ryan Laver.
Maybe.
Final word.
Maybe just to finish this ceremony, I would like to give you, to close the ceremony, some words to the winners. So I start to Sofia, with Sofia.
I just want to say thank you. I didn't expect all of this. Just telling my little story here and my life. So thank you so much, and also congratulations to you, and congratulations to everyone who talked. You're all really inspiring, and everything that you say is linked together. So thank you. And just a little thing, if you want to follow all my social medias, on every social media I have a website, sophia-g.ch, so you can follow my road to Paris 2024. Thank you.
Thank you.
So my biggest thank you to all of you as well tonight. I really feel honored to take the audience vote. It's really a great pleasure to share my vision and my thoughts of the future of luxury. And I really want to address my thank you, first of all, to the Swiss Who's Who Network for nominating me, the entire EHL family to be as present and as cheerful as we always are, to Dr. Carol Ackermann as well to do the opening. It's a pleasure, and I really, really look forward for this journey towards the future of luxury, and it was a pleasure to share and spend this evening together. Thank you very much.
Please come with us, all the millennials, and join us for the last pictures. And for us, see you soon.
Please,
for the cocktail. Thanks.